everyone, so today I thought I would bring you to the operating room with me. Here in Hawaii we do have palm trees at our surgical center, so come along. So today I have 3 adult strabismus surgeries. I am fellowship trained in pediatric ophthalmology and adult strabismus, and the reason for that is, the reason for that is a long time ago, strabismus really was mainly a pediatric subspecialty. Strabismus meaning misaligned eyes, eyes that cross in or wander out. And then it developed into those people that were fellowship trained in it started doing the adult surgeries. I actually do a lot more adult patients than I do pediatric patients. I'm kind of winded. I don't know why. I do a lot of Peloton, so I shouldn't be winded from those stairs. Maybe I should have taken the escalator. Anyway, I tend to do a lot of adult strabismus surgery. I think that's in nature because I do adjustable suture surgery, and I'm also located at the main adult hospital in the state, so I think I get more referrals from that versus I'm not actually at the children's hospital, I just round there. All right, let's keep going. So I'm in the OR. I like to get here very early and just review what the surgical plan is for each of my patients. So turn my 80s off. That's number 1 rule for being in my operating room is 80s music all the time. I love it. You just don't have to think. I love other kinds of music, but this one you don't have to think for. So yes, so I go through the surgical plan. I look at the amount of strabismus. I've already done this at home and in the office, but I just do one more review. I write it on the whiteboard. I have photographs of the patient that I also attach if they're esotropia, exotropia, how much I'm operating for, the number of millimeters, which side is adjustable. I like to double, triple check things just to be 100% that I'm doing the correct surgery on the correct eye, on the correct muscles, the correct strengthening or loosening. Just review it all one last time to be 100% sure. And then we will wheel the patient in, and then it's the anesthesiologist's time to get the patient under general anesthesia. All of strabismus surgeries are done under general anesthesia for the most part. Some of them can be done local, but I do all of mine under general. This is Danny, my scrub assistant. She's amazing. She's the reason I can do such difficult cases. Having a good team is so important. Oh, and then for our 80s dance moves, we do need to have our 80s dance party. Yes, we do. And Dr. Opalski.
Good morning.
Here's where the magic happens. The charting, the op reports. I'm gonna get some donuts. Let's see. So much junk and carbs and things that I'm not supposed to eat, but of course I want to eat, and I rationalize it that it's good to have sugar. Doing a lot of really intense work when I operate, so I just finished my first case. I think I'm entitled. I'm sure my brain probably burnt off enough calories for one donut. But I like Krispy Kreme, and Krispy Kreme's only available on Maui, not on Oahu, so I'll have to make do with Dunkin' Donuts. Ooh, I do love sprinkles, and I do love strawberry. That's the one I'm getting. This is good. I haven't had donut in a long time. This is good. Yeah. So these are our instruments for strabismus surgery. Right there we have the small hooks, then the Jameson hooks. I like everything oriented the same way. Those are the Moody forceps I use to move the eye around. The straight forceps, needle drivers.
Westcott.
Oh, so those are Westcott, sorry, I can't even see. Those are the Westcotts, which are the scissors basically. That's the needle driver, which is what we use to attach to the stitch, to the needle and stitch. And that's my main stitch that I use when I'm doing strabismus surgery, is that 6/0 Vicryl. Comes on 2 different lengths. It can come on basically a 12-inch and an 18-inch, so, which is good. And when you're playing good, yeah. So, and then basically the main thing is you want to make sure that your Mayo stand is set up exactly the way that you want it. So you can easily grab things if you need and if your assistant's not available. You know, again, I'm very anal about the way that the instruments are pointing, the order in which they're laid out on the table. So, you know, if I ask her, because I have someone new assisting me today, she'll know exactly what it is, or I can just get it for myself. But a lot of Q-tips, I use a lot of Q-tips. And then this is the Tegaderm that we use, and she's gonna cut it, basically to keep the eyelashes out of the way. When we are doing surgery, we also do it for cataract surgery like that. So there we go, that's my Mayo stand, and I'm gonna get ready to go do surgery. So one thing for new surgeons that I would recommend is you need to make sure that from the beginning that you shouldn't rush through it. So it's super important, and it might seem very silly how the lights are placed. I'm always battling with lights, the drape, the way that you are opening the eye or whatever your surgical area is, the layout of your instruments. Those are all small things that I think when you're a beginning surgeon, you feel like you need to like rush through them to get to the meat of the surgery, and you get bothered by the anesthesiologists that are waiting for you, or as a surgeon that has the room after you, or the nurses around. The key thing that I would want to tell people is you just gotta focus and just only pay attention to what is going on right then and there, and just go through your checklist and be meticulous, because if the drape isn't correct, that's gonna drive you nuts the entire time you're actually doing surgery. So spend the extra 2 minutes and just make sure things are the way that you need them to be. Don't be rushed by outside people. So that's very, very key. You know, I think in the beginning I would just say, oh yeah, I'll just take whatever drape you have, or oh, you don't have my instruments, it's fine, I'll just make do. That's not great. I mean, it's good to be someone that doesn't have to be completely rigid as a surgeon, but you really need, if it's important to you and important to the surgery going well, stand your ground, especially as a new surgeon, because you don't have the experience yet to be able to figure out, well, okay, I've got this, or when you're working in other places where you might not have everything. If you're doing mission work, you might not have all the instruments. That's a different situation. But if you're in your OR and you're doing your cases, just make sure everything from start to finish is properly set, because you'll pay the price for it during the surgery if the lights aren't in the correct position or the instruments are in the wrong order on the Mayo stand. It felt very difficult for me to assert myself when I was younger, you know, 12 years ago when I was operating by myself. So that's something I would highly recommend. Just have confidence in yourself and what you can do and what you are doing, because you don't do anyone any kind of service if you are rushing through something because you feel like you need to. All right, take time. This is a good song. This is a great song. So I'm doing the op reports now. We have these templates and then I have to adjust them. For strabismus surgery, it's hard because it's so different. Every surgery I do, which muscle I operate on, if I do a strengthening or a weakening procedure, if I do adjustable, are they young? Unlike for a lot of other people in ophthalmology, they're doing cataract surgery and it's basically the same surgery over and over and over again. Mine is like every single one is so different, so it just takes me forever. Or I can dictate them also as I wait for my patient with adjustable sutures to wake up. So basically what strabismus surgery is when your eyes are either crossing in or wandering out and you've decided that you want to get surgery, if you can be a pediatric patient or an adult patient. Usually the way that we do it, it's good old-fashioned knives and surgery kind of things, stitches. It's not laser, which is a big misconception because most people think of LASIK or even cataract surgery, which is ultrasound and laser now, but it's not any of those. I mean, I'm literally just cutting with scissors and stitching things and moving them back. So what I do is there's 6 eye muscles that move the eyeball around, and depending on which one I think might be over or underactive, I strengthen or loosen different muscles. And the way I do that is I go in, I get the muscle, which exists pretty much, it's located 5 to 6 millimeters on the white of your eye, underneath the white from the colored part of the eye. We grab the muscle, we cut it, we put it on a stitch, and then we move it back like loosening a belt buckle if you're trying to weaken a muscle, and we will cut a piece of the muscle out like cinching a belt buckle if you're doing a resection. That's a strengthening procedure. A recession is the weakening procedure, which is what's going to help the muscle not be so overactive. So for instance, in a patient that has cross eyes, typically the inner muscles or the medial rectus muscles are overactive. So we're going to weaken them, anywhere from 3 to 8, 9, 10 millimeters, depending on how bad the degree of the eye crossing is. So I have these tables that I consult, and if it's an esotropia, which is eye crossing of 15 prism diopters, which is what I would use to measure it. Think of it as like a measuring stick for strabismus. Then I'm going to do a recession of 3 millimeters or something like that. So we look at the tables, and then I look to see how much I need to do for each side. That's what I put on my whiteboard right when I walk into the operating room, and I double check it as I'm operating. I look at the whiteboard. I make sure it's got the picture of the patient, that I'm operating correct eye, that I'm doing the, if the eyes are crossing in, I'm doing the weakening of the intermedial rectus muscle and not a strengthening by mistake. All of those things, double, triple checks, always good to double and triple check. Just like sewing, measure once, measure twice, cut once. That's it. That's what my mother used to say, measure twice, cut once. So same thing with surgery, that you want to double check it, make sure your numbers are correct. I always verify everything with calipers against another ruler too. So we do that for strabismus surgery. For adults, I will put the muscle on a slip knot, and this allows me to fine-tune the adjustment when the patient is awake. When I do surgery, it's under general anesthesia, like I said, which means there's a tube down the patient's throat, there's an anesthesiologist there, they're helping the patient go to sleep. The patient is not awake during the surgery. So I can't tell if the patient has double vision while I'm doing the surgery. Did I get the muscles right where they should be, or do I need to adjust it a little bit? When I do an adjustable suture, then I'm able to fine-tune the adjustment a little bit more in the post-op recovery room. So the muscle is then attached to a little slip knot, and I can move the slip knot up or down and either weaken or strengthen the procedure that I've already done. So that's what I'm doing now. Usually I wait about an hour for the patient to wake up, because they're very groggy after general anesthesia, and you want them to be with it and to be able to see single images if possible. Because when you think about when you're tired, like, and your eyes are rolling up in the back of your head, you're falling asleep in lecture, you get double. And that's because that's the natural state of your eyes, is to be a little bit exotropic or outward. So same thing happens with general anesthesia. When you're waking up and you're super tired, it's very hard to fuse those images. And so we want to give them at least an hour. Some people would wait 12 hours, some do it the next day. But I wait certainly a good amount of time, so that the patient is very awake and very alert and able to look at my targets, and then I can judge to see if I need to do any further adjustments. So right now I'm going to be finishing my op reports. I might grab a little bite to eat. I'll go check my adjustments, see how everything is going right there. So I'm about to scrub, and the thing that drives me absolutely crazy whenever I watch a medical drama is that they're always walking into the operating room with this around their neck and not on their mouth. You have to put your mask on first, and then you scrub. And so if you walk into the operating room, like right now I'm in the hallway with all of the, scrub stuff, you got to do it before you walk into the OR, because then the OR is sterile. It doesn't make any sense. You don't put on a gown if you don't have your mask on. These are my loupes. This is what I need for strabismus surgery, so that I can see the small passes that I make in the sclera. So you need to adjust everything before scrubbing. Make sure your focus is right. This is tight, everything. I'm going to do a waterless scrub. The first surgery of the day, I always use one of these betadine kind of things with the brush, and I like that for my first one. And then after, I always do a waterless. Yeah, what else? I still remember being a third-year medical student and not really knowing how to scrub and feeling like just so incompetent when the nurses, we showed up July 1st, and it was our first rotation of third year med school, which means, the first time you're actually in clerkships. And they were like, the OB-GYN residents, not notorious, kind of not known for being the nicest, though I've met tons that are very nice. Do you know how to scrub? No, I don't. I can't believe they send me students that don't know how to scrub, and then they teach us how to scrub, and you feel like so important because you know this one very useful skill, which it is very useful. but you know. Okay, so I'm all dry. Off to surgery. So I need to go over to the Children's Hospital now. I just did my 3 adult strabismus patients here at my surgical center. We only do eye surgeries and only kids 6 and above because it's an outpatient surgical center. We don't have an intensive care unit associated with it. We're not in a main hospital. There's a lot of those, and it's where a lot of ophthalmologists tend to operate because the turnaround time is much quicker than operating in a hospital. But the downside is I can't do my younger patients here, so I actually have to go to the Women and Children's Hospital because I have a baby that I need to do surgery on. And there's a little delay for the baby checking in, so I need to just hang out, which is good. I actually like it because I haven't eaten yet, so I'm gonna have a little bit of, let's see, what do I have? Oh yeah, I got an unagi don, or eel, and rice because that's what's just downstairs here. And so I'm gonna eat really quick and then check in with my surgery counselor and the Children's Hospital to see where they are. They have to do all these preoperative drops for the baby and just where they're gonna put me because I'm getting added on for this emergency surgery, so I have to go after all of the other surgeons go. And then I'm done with my operating day. So a lot of variety, which I love in pediatric ophthalmology and strabismus, pediatric ophthalmology sort of cases, different hospitals, all good. In the car now, headed over to the Children's Hospital. I'm hoping they will be ready for me in the OR. That is part of the difficulty in going multiple places, which I usually don't do on my OR days. I just stay at one place, either the Children's Hospital or my surgical center. But like I said, this was an emergency surgery that I need to do over there, so no choice with that. But it is nice because it's only right now 1:30, so it's not really late. I should get the good staff. It's harder when you have to operate later in the day after hours because a lot of times it's staff that's not as familiar with your procedure, and having a good team around you is so vital to doing good surgery. So I'm at the doctor's lounge in the Children's Hospital waiting for my surgery. I'm also supposed to see some babies that are flying in, I believe from Maui, because there's no pediatric ophthalmologist on a couple of the neighbor islands. On Maui or on the big island of Hawaii, there isn't any. So when I see babies in the NICU for retinopathy prematurity and they get discharged from the NICU and then they go home, they don't have anyone to follow up with. So the insurance company will actually pay to fly them back to Honolulu, sometimes once a week or once every 2 weeks, for us to conclude the examinations until the blood vessels are fully mature. So the babies were not able to come to our usual clinic yesterday, so I need to see them. So I've got to figure out when I'm going to see them and then when I'm going to do this emergency surgery on this other baby. And the baby that's supposed to have surgery had some breast milk, so we have to delay the case a little bit because you want them to be NPO or not eat anything. Same as an adult, but just for 4 hours, not overnight or not for 8 hours, but at least for 4 hours because you are doing anesthesia and you don't want them to aspirate or to swallow the contents of their stomach or for it to go into their lungs. So that's where I am, just in the doctor's lounge. They have one here, it's nice. My kids like coming here because they have juice, and I like it because they've got the latte machine. And I'll probably do some charting and hang out until they call me from the OR. So this is the laser machine, it's nice and quiet. This is what we use to do laser for retinopathy prematurity. So it's got a little foot pedal right there. And then this is the headset. It's very heavy. So I do have to take breaks usually because you're trying to put in about 1,000 bursts of energy, 1,000 shots, laser shots in each eye. Here's all the equipment. I love these. These are Calgi swabs. That's what I use. I don't use that baby depressor. The lid speculum is fine. And then you don't really use anything else. So now we're just making sure, yep, laser turned on. I'm going to adjust all my settings. These are not my settings right now, but you want to make sure everything turns on before you bring the baby back and put the baby to sleep. Anesthesia cart, all their stuff. They're the heroes. I mean, they do all the really hard work of keeping the baby alive so I can concentrate on the eyes. Okay, so I just finished the emergency laser surgery for the baby here. I'm tired. I have a mark. I swear, I'm tired. That laser is hard because it sits on your head and then you can put it on repeat, but I always get a little nervous doing that, but a lot of people do it. And you just have to fire 1,000 shots into each eye. But I'm finished. It's 4:30. Now I need to go see 2 more babies upstairs in the outpatient clinic, and then I'll be done. They are flying from a neighbor island for making an exception, and I'm here at this children's hospital anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and see them, make their lives easier, and since I'm here. So catch you in a bit. That's it for my OR did today. Usually I'm not traveling between hospitals, and this is a lot longer than it normally is. Usually my OR day is more like 7:30 to 3, so about 8 hours, which is typical. And so I'm tired. I'm very tired and ready to go home. It is kind of nice to be in the hospital when there's no one here. I haven't been in the hospital after hours kind of like this since I was a resident. Not that I want to be a resident again. But anyway, if you have questions about my operating room day and I don't know, anything else strikes your fancy, leave a comment below, subscribe to my channel so you can keep watching, and I will see you soon. I need to get some food. Bye.